What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another Fantasy Football Scout video with me, Lee, and this is Sam from the FPL Family. Now, we are back with another points prediction video for Game Week 29, Sam. But before we get to our defender, midfielder and forward picks for we're calling it the blank Game Week 29.
Game Week 29.
Only 8 teams are playing, so these picks quite hard actually this evening.
It was virtually impossible, this, by the way.
Quite hard. But before we get to that, how do we get on in Game Week 28?
So Game Week 28 wasn't exactly the best game week in the world, full stop.
Difficult, wasn't it?
It was a hard week. Lots of the picks that you were expecting to do well didn't.
The premiums, a lot of the premiums blanking in 28.
Yeah, which made it a difficult week for the premium over 10% owned players. So I had the overs last time around. Diaz at the back. Picked the wrong City defender.
You'd have gone with Johnny Stones.
Or Cancelo.
Yes.
However, 6 points for Diaz. And to be honest, I think I said in the video last week, I'm picking the safe one, fear of the roulette, etc, etc. So I'll take the 6, that's fine. Mason Mount, very surprised by that Chelsea 0-0 draw with Leeds. Didn't see that one coming. But stayed on for at least 60 minutes, kept a clean sheet, so that's 3 points for him. And then Mr. Harold of Kane massively letting me down. From a personal point of view, he was my captain. From a Spurs point of view, and in the points prediction, it was a hat-trick of misery for me with Kane.
Bit unlucky in the last 15 minutes. When Jose changed the mentality and said, right, you can actually attack now, he in particular did look dangerous. And Arsenal... Sorry, Arsenal fans, but you do what Arsenal did, which was panic a little bit. And in that last 10 minutes, Spurs could have got something from that game. One off the post with the free kick, but not to be.
Not to be. So 11 for me. You had the under 10% owns last week. Soyuncu at the back for Leicester with a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Happy day, 6 points for him.
Easiest clean sheet call ever against Sheffield United. Bless them.
Yeah.
Down with the dead men, Sheffield United.
Target Sheffield United, it feels like, doesn't it, right now?
I think so.
Let's see if they get any new manager bounce, though. Let's see. You had Bale in the middle. Again, surprising from Spurs. Unfortunately for you, he goes off before the 60-minute mark. So just the 1 pointer from Bale. Didn't see that one coming, to be honest, but there you are.
Nowhere near the performance we were hoping for Gareth Bale in that game, right? But let's hope it's a blip and that he comes back to the fore in Game Week 29.
For sure. And then Richarlison for you, up top for Everton. Again, nothing, just the 2 pointer. So the difference between you and I this week is that Mason Mount stayed on the pitch for the full 60 minutes and kept a clean sheet. So 6 each for the back, 2 each up top. But in the middle, I had 3, you had the 1. So it's another point for Sam. I do think it was a bit jammy.
Even if Bale had stayed on, though, Spurs wouldn't have got the clean sheet. So he'd have got 2 and you'd have beaten me by 1. So
unless he'd have got attacking returns in that final 15 minutes of push.
Close, but no cigar. But
it is what it is. So 10-5 to me now. You need this one. Now, this week was incredibly hard because, of course, you are...
Just not as many players to pick from, frankly.
Because you're lowering the number of players. So, for example, in the over-forward category, there were only 3 players to choose from this week.
Oh,
so, actually, really, really tough call. So, Lee's got the overs this week. I've got the under 10%, so there's slightly more differentials, which, again... really hard to pick them because there's so few players to choose from.
So usual rules apply. We're going to pick a defender, midfielder and forward each. We're going to have the over 10%, so we think are the top picks for the game week, and then some differentials, the under 10%. So let's see. We have got Aaron Creswell in at 27.6. He's higher than I thought. 5.9 million in the game. What a season he's having. Did you say you've got Creswell or I've got him? I've got the overs, right?
You've got the overs.
I've got the overs. So I'm pretty happy to have Creswell, given that he is the league's highest scorer right now in terms of FPL points, amongst defenders, I should add. Set-piece threat. What did I write down here? 2 double-digit hauls in his last 5 game weeks. So listen, bit of form, not just in the short term, but in the medium to long term as well over the course of this season. So look no further than Aaron Creswell. Now, difficult-looking game against Arsenal on paper, but if West Ham do lose that clean sheet to Arsenal, then of course he can get something from the other end, right? And that's what I like about picking these defenders that have got attacking returns in them, like Creswell, is that if the clean sheet goes, you've still got some interest in the game and backing these guys. So Creswell looks great for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've owned Creswell now for, goodness knows how many weeks in my actual FPL team, and he's been an absolute godsend because, as you say, even when the clean sheet goes, you're pretty much confident that he's going to pick up something from the game. He's regularly returning, as you say, double-digit hauls. He's regularly returning clean sheets or attacking returns, and sometimes both at the same time, which is lovely. So, yeah, he is, for me, if you're free hitting this week, an absolute essential free hit pick. And even if you're not, I think he is a player that if you don't own him, you don't.
I don't.
Should be looking to bring him in.
I don't, and I do have a defence right now. We're not going to talk about my team on here. If you want some insight into how my team's looking for Game Week 29, go check out the last FPL Family video on our channel, because it's not in good shape. I don't have Creswell. Right now, my defence is Dallas.
Just Dallas.
Just Dallas.
You need a bit of Aaron Creswell.
So I need a bit of Aaron Creswell in my life. Or do I? Because the alternative at 7.7% ownership is Lewis Dunk. 5 million in the game. I've got some nice stats about how bad Newcastle are from defending headed chances. But this is your pick. Lewis Dunk, tell me about him.
Lewis Dunk is one of my biggest regrets of this FPL season. I wanted to bring him in about 4 or 5 game weeks ago, and I was 0.1 shy of being able to do it. And in utter frustration, I was like, well, look, I need to plan for Game Week 29, so I'll bring in whichever Brighton defender I can afford. At that point, it looked like Lamptey was going to return. I was a bit worried about Veltman's minutes, so I went with Ben White, knowing there was no attacking threat, but hoping for some clean sheets. But Lewis Dunk has continued with his underlying stats of really, really nice creativity, but also some attacking threat. And defensively, they've been really solid.
So who did you go for then? You got Ben White.
So I've got Ben White because he was who I could afford at the time. But if I was free hitting now or making my defensive change now for a Brighton defender, I would try and get
That's
Dunk.
the difference, isn't it? Ben White, okay, get you the 6, won't he? Get you the clean sheet, but it's Lewis Dunk that's got the upside.
Yeah, so he's got his 4th goal of the season back in Game Week 28. He's about to play against a Newcastle side with the 4th worst XG in the league.
My stat. I had that stat. Yeah, they are awful, Newcastle
They're
right now.
They're terrible.
Particularly from headed opportunities.
Yeah, and I think for me, I look at that game and I think of all of the games across the 4 games that we've got this week, which one's likely to have a clean sheet? Well, this one I think potentially will have one, should have one for Brighton, and it's potentially got one for Newcastle as well. So
Newcastle haven't got any forwards, though, They're so
forwards.
Lacking in attack right now.
That's what I mean. So he's almost certain to get the clean sheet. He might be up there with some attacking threat as well. And if he gets some attacking threat as well, then there's obviously going to be bonus points that go alongside that. But to be honest, because Brighton aren't that great going forward either, the bonus points are likely to sit with the defenders anyway, just for their ability to deal with things as they happen. So they are... what did I write down? They have these ridiculous stats about... Oh, I can't remember. I didn't think I write it down. Oh, I did write it down. So they have.
It's in the notes somewhere.
Here it is. So they have given up the fewest shots in the league in the last 4 with 26.
Brighton.
Yes.
Better than Chelsea.
The next closest to them is Chelsea, who've given up 36. So
who we're lording over, right? We're lording over Chelsea.
So they've given up 10 less shots in the last 4 game weeks than Chelsea, who are second. So Brighton have been unbelievable defensively. Now, it hasn't always shown up in a clean sheet, and in fact they haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 4 game weeks, so that is something that I'm slightly cautious of. However, the opposition in this game and his attacking potential in it makes me think that Lewis Dunk is a really good pick.
Yeah, and I know a few of you FPL managers have got your eyes on Veltman there, who's the replacement for Tariq Lamptey on that side. Now, I just urge caution a little bit with Veltman, because I noticed when Dan Burn went off with the injury in the previous game week, they actually reverted to the back 3, and actually Veltman came in as part of that back 3, and of course that nullified any threat that he had in terms of licence to go forward. So if they set up in that same way, and he is part of that back 3, he becomes a bit like a Ben White then. You can pretty much say he's going to get the clean sheet and you get the 6 points, but I think I would absolutely pay a bit more for Lewis Dunk.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And let's be honest, most people that are going to be bringing in these players this week, you're probably taking out a Man City defender or somebody equally expensive.
You can afford it.
So it's not going to be a struggle to be able to afford Lewis Dunk this time.
All right, there we go. That was a lot of time on Lewis Dunk.
Well, I think
we
Lewis
both
Dunk
like
is
a
a
bit of
great
Lewis Dunk. Okay, I do. I think I'll be bringing him in this week. Let's go to the 13.1% owned Rafinha from Leeds. Now, Leeds have got a tricky-looking fixture away at Fulham, and Fulham have impressed me recently, certainly defensively, have improved in all areas of the pitch, I think, under Scott Parker. But defensively recently, with Anderson coming in and a few others at the back there, have looked a lot better. But I do fancy Rafinha to get something from that game. I think it's going to be an open game. They have looked a little bit tired recently. Is that too easier thing to say about Leeds? I don't know. Am I being a bit lazy with my commentary there? I don't know. But Leeds have looked a little bit like they are running out of gas a little bit. But what I will say about Rafinha is he hasn't. No. He actually has passed the eye test for me over the last few game weeks. There was a game against Wolves, I think, at Leeds, if I remember rightly. Maybe it's at Molineux, I can't remember. A few game weeks ago where he didn't get any FPL attacking returns, but got 2 bonus points.
I remember that.
Because he was so creative to the likes of Bamford and Cooper and Streak. That it was like, I could not believe that this guy didn't get FPL returns.
Well, then the double game week as well, right? It was that...
Right.
Yeah, he only got the return right at the end against Southampton,
He got the free kick, didn't he?
Yeah.
But actually, that was,
Should have had 50 points.
He could have had an absolute hole in that double game week. So I think Rafinha should have had more FPL points than he's got, frankly, were it not for how wasteful his teammates are in front of goal.
Does that worry you at all?
Massively, yeah. Because it's happened now over the last sort of 3 or 4 games.
And we aren't really sure where we are. Of course, at this point when we're recording this video, we aren't really sure where we are in terms of Bamford and his injury and the impact that's going to have on the team. But I do agree with what you're saying. I think in terms of those midfield options, there are some other great picks, of course, across the rest of the division. But in terms of, having to pick across different teams, you can't go Bale if you want to go Kane, you can't go Kane if you want to go Bale.
Yeah.
You can't go Aubameyang if you want to go Lacazette. It's hard. So I think when it comes to Leeds and you're looking at them as a decent attacking option, Rafinha for me is the one at Leeds right now. He's the one that's doing all the creativity, and you feel like if there's a goal coming for Leeds, he is going to be part of that.
Yeah, and I know we're talking specifically about game week 29 here, but if you are like me and you're planning to play your wildcard in game week 31, that is my strategy. Would love to know your strategy, guys. If you're holding on to the second wildcard, or if you've got any chips left in your back pocket, get in the comments below. Let me know what your chip strategy is for the remainder of the season. Mine is to play that wildcard in 31, and on that basis, I want Rafinha for 30 for next game week. Sheffield United at home.
Target Sheffield
is
United.
Absolutely a game where I will want Rafinha. So I'm bringing him in. No, he's in my team already for 29. He of course he will play because I've only got 5 that can. But I want him for game week 30 against Sheffield United too. So Rafinha, I think a nice pick for 29. You've gone for Jesse Lingard. Now I have a bone to pick with you here.
Well, right now before you
I
start,
have a massive bone to pick with you.
So before you start, Andy very kindly makes these graphics for us, and on Monday morning he said, can you make your points prediction pick? So I spoke to Lee, he picked his, I picked mine. At that point, Jesse Lingard was owned by 9.6, I think it might have even been 9.5% of the game. I was like, perfect.
I checked.
Perfect.
Coming on to record this video, and Jesse Lingard is over 10%. This is not allowed.
So 9.5 when I picked him. 9.9 when Andy made the graphic.
This is going to be controversial if he comes in.
So, to be completely honest with you, Andy made these graphics about an hour and a half before we recorded this video.
Wow.
In an hour and a half, Jesse Lingard has gone up by 0.2%.
Such is the popularity of the pick this week.
And this is part of the problem with the unders, because a lot of the people that I was looking at on Monday were hitting 10%, and it was like, oh, can't pick them. Oh, Jesse Lingard, lovely, but it's super, super popular this week. And I don't blame managers for picking him, and I'm counting him. He counts this week because I picked him at 9.9 or 9.6.
Do you think the fact that he didn't play in 28 against his parent club, Manchester United, is it good that he's had a rest, or is it bad because he had such great momentum and rhythm?
Could be either, couldn't it? I think we're about to find out. I think the reality is that since he's arrived at West Ham, he's got returns in 5 of his 6 games. He's only blanked once in the games that he was eligible to play. He's returned in all 4 of his last 4 game weeks. He just has made such a difference to that West Ham side. And he is a player that is 100% coming into my FPL team this week. And in fact, I think he's going to take a price rise tonight, so I'm probably going to have to do it.
Oh, Lingard in.
What
sort of season are we having? Jay Lings nailed on in your team for game week 29.
And
What is going on?
I think he is absolutely nailed on. I think, we've seen from Arsenal over the last few weeks that they are prone to a mistake at the back. Defensively, they have it in them to just have a moment. And Jesse Lingard is the sort of player that you have a moment with him around at the moment, he'll take advantage of you for that. Now, I took out Antonio a few weeks ago on the basis that I wanted Lingard, and I was already doubled up with, trebled up at that point with Antonio, Creswell and Souček. I think he does make Souček a little bit of a worse option, if I'm really honest.
Maybe.
Souček doesn't get as far forward when Lingard's on the pitch, but that just means that Lingard is an even better option. I think for me, he is an absolutely essential pick for game week 29.
Essential.
Well, you don't get him then, and I'll go further. I'll take the 11.
I don't think I'm getting him because,
11.5 to me this
I need
time
some
round
players.
then.
I need some players. I didn't like the way West Ham United set up at Manchester United because the player that came in for him was Noble, and I was just like, what? Not Ben Rama or not? So they basically played with 3 very defensive-minded central midfielders in front of that back 4, and they kind of set up shop West Ham as if to say, we're probably going to be pretty happy with a point in Man United. You come and break us down. And it was only a Dawson own goal in the end from a flaky-looking set piece that undid them in the end. So Moyes, I think, went to get the draw in that game. Now, what does that tell me? That tells me that Lingard has become absolutely, not essential, but he's become front and centre of that attack for West Ham. Everything good is coming through Jay Lings right now.
Yeah.
So I think that, absolutely, I don't think that they will set up again with those 3 in midfield and put Noble in there. They will put Jay Lings straight back in and they'll go about their business in the way that we have seen over the last few weeks. So I think Jay Lings, a nice pick, but, guys, over 10% owned. So if he comes in, I'm not having it. There will be a steward's inquiry. Now, it's a points prediction video with us from FPL Family.
Well,
Harry Kane has to be in there. I've picked him, and I'm not going to spend less than 30 seconds talking about him on this video. 41.7% ownership. I think it is a big problem if you haven't got him in your team for this week.
Who doesn't have him in their team?
I don't have him in my team right now. And I'm really worried about that.
He's going to be...
His captaincy this week is going to be pretty big.
Well, you've got to think that those 40% of managers that own him are going to put the captain's armband on him.
You would think so.
So that's what? 3 million managers captaining
You would
Harry
think so.
Kane
You
this
would
week?
think so. If Bamford is injured for this game, there's a reasonable chance that I'll try and upgrade him to Kane somehow. But if Bamford is playing, I can't take out one of my 5, can I? I've only got 5. I can't take one out to put another one in. So Bamford's
you're
got to
go
stay.
Without Kane?
Possibly going to go without Kane, depending on the Bamford news.
You are a brave man.
Don't ask me who I'm thinking about captaining. But Harry Kane, for the purpose of this points prediction video...
Oh, he's the best pick, surely.
...is in... just if you've got him, I think he's the obvious captain choice. Any more brief words to say about Kane before we move on to your pick?
No, I think he's just...
Job done. Move on. He's the pick.
Yeah.
There's so few forwards to pick
There's
from,
3.
as you said
There's Kane,
before.
there's Antonio, and there's Watkins, and that's it in the overs category.
And there is no way I'm picking Ollie Watkins.
And then you revert to the unders, and my pick for this week, and actually what becomes
I like this, by the way.
What becomes really challenging here is that you look across the 8 teams. I've already ruled out Brighton and West Ham because...
Don't fancy Neil Maupay?
Well, I can't have them because I've got Dunk and Lingard as my picks, so they're
sure.
gone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick Joe Linton at Newcastle because I'm banking on Dunk.
You ain't ever picking Joe.
So
no one's picking Joe Linton.
I can't go for anyone at Spurs because Kane's an over. I can't go for anyone at Aston Villa because Watkins is an over.
So it's a young man at Fulham.
Basically leaves... Oh, I can't go for Leeds because Bamford's the over. So it leaves me with Fulham and one other. Can't remember who they were now. But it left me with basically 2 players. And I looked at Majer. He's had 7 Premier League games now. He scored 2 goals in that time. I'm slightly apprehensive about this one in that he didn't play in game week 28.
Yeah.
But I think in part that was a conscious decision by Scott Parker because of the opposition. Fulham obviously played Manchester City in that game, and I think he just went for a bit more brute, try and control the ball.
Yeah, fair enough, okay.
I think it was tactical more than anything else. I've been really impressed by Majer. The few games that I've watched him play, I think he's been lively, he's been in and around. We've seen over the last few weeks that Leeds have a tendency to concede goals. In fact, we've seen that all season. You mentioned earlier that they are looking a little bit weary.
Did all right against Chelsea, though.
They did do all right against Chelsea. I don't think that they will do the same against Fulham. I think Fulham will come and have a go at them because obviously where they are in the league, they have to pick up some points. And I think they'll go and try and do that. So I think if they do, Majer will be part of that.
Well, talk about differential. 1.3% owned, unlike your other picks that are over 10%. What? Josh Majer in at 1.3% owned. So if you were on a free hit this week,
outrageous.
Would Majer be in there? On
yes,
the free hit?
it would. I think if he was free hitting
territory.
this week, I think it's him or Lookman. I think they look like the 2 options from Fulham. I don't think you'd want both. But for me, I think one of those 2 looks like a really, really nice pick for this week.
Okay, well, there we go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Leave us a comment below. Let us know who your over 10%, your under 10% picks are for the game week. Not a lot to choose from, as we've suggested. Slim pickings from the 8 teams that are playing in this blank game week 29. But good luck in the game week, guys. We'll be back at the same time next week when we will discuss who out of you or I has won the points prediction for Game Week 29. It's 10-5. As usual, I am way behind and I need the points.
You've got Kane this week.
Just like in FPL, I am way behind. Leave us a like before you go, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the Fantasy Football Scout channel, and we'll see you this time next week. Cheers.
Bye, guys.